You guys enjoy the Super Bowl yesterday?
It's a great game. It's a really good game.
It's amazing. The Niners had it up until 7 minutes to go.
Did they, though?
Well, but look, Chiefs, 3rd and 15. Mahomes avoids the rush and goes 44 yards to Tyreek Hill, and that was the whole
what a throw! What a throw that was!
Right there, right?
Bomb.
They had him in check for 3.5 quarters.
Also, on the 2nd and 5, you run the ball right there. You don't pass. You don't stop the clock. I mean, they just didn't eat enough clock. And I thought Kyle Shanahan would have learned this lesson from what happened in Atlanta to him as offensive coordinator against the Patriots, up 28-3, and the bad play calling at the end of that game cost them the Super Bowl. And now it seems like not running the ball again cost them the Super Bowl because they were averaging 6 yards a carry. They only carried the ball 22 times last night. I mean, that should have been a 35 to 40 type carries for San Francisco 49ers because that was their identity. They have a great running offensive line, and Garoppolo just wasn't on point. And they have a great running game. I thought they should have just leaned on that a little bit more, especially in the fourth quarter after they got that second interception.
But at the same time, I've got to give credit to the Chiefs' defense and how they were able to step it up, too. And you've got to give credit to Mahomes. Mahomes made the plays at the end, and Garoppolo didn't. And ultimately, they folded under pressure. But I just thought you were absolutely right, John. They did not run the ball enough. I mean, that was their calling card. So they went away from that, and they got burned.
That's what Tyrann Mathieu said. He was like, when they stopped running
the ball,
he was happy.
He was like, I was happy.
We were relieved. Yeah. That's exactly what we wanted.
Tells you a lot.
Jimmy G. Well, a couple things to tell you a lot. And you mentioned Kyle Shanahan. It's the exact same thing, the exact same experience. But late in the half, they have a chance. They get the Kittle PI. Okay, fine. So you don't get that. But then they decide, forget it. We'll just take 10-10 and we'll take the ball to start the half, which shows you a lack of trust that they had in Jimmy G. You always wondering, coming this whole run, you were wondering, what did they have? Because we know what Mahomes is. We know all about him. But what did they have? And I think that was something, to me, that spoke volumes. And by the end of the game, you could see that even in the huddle, they weren't quite sure that Jimmy was the guy.
But when Jimmy got that opportunity in the second half, that long throw that he couldn't complete, he just went a little long.
Down 4 with a minute and a half to go.
Mahomes
just overthrew.
would have made that pass.
Sanders, he overthrew Sanders.
Right, that would have changed the whole
They did
narrative.
give him some opportunity there, right? But he just didn't execute.
All right, so what are we thinking now? Patrick Mahome gets the win, and the reality is that he was jittery and jumpy for most of the game, right? But then he pulls it out when it matters most, and that's what everybody's going to remember.
Very similar to the Atlanta Falcons Patriot game when the defensive line was giving Brady all kind of trouble. And then in the fourth quarter, they got a little tired. Same thing happened last night. Both of those guys were subbing themselves out. They weren't able to get the same type of pressure on him in the fourth quarter. And because of it, he had a little bit more time, and that little bit more time buys those speedy receivers a little bit more time to get away from the D-backs, and he was able to pinpoint some passes.
The lesson learned is that even the best will play poorly, but he stayed true to himself.
Oh, yeah.
I think everything we learned about Patrick Mahomes in this game was that even when he's having his worst game, where he was throwing behind receivers, he's throwing picks, he's throwing in the ground, he looked terrible for 3 quarters. Terrible. And what did he say after the game? He's like, I trusted myself. I knew eventually I'd make the plays. And that's the lesson learned. It's just he never really got down on himself. He never quit. He never mentally quit. He never got frustrated, never thought this just isn't my game. No frustration, nothing.
Absolutely.
Just stay with it. And of all the skill you can have, that mental edge, to me, shows you why he is special. He's better than everybody else.
Yeah, he is special.
Great point, Al.
And hats off to Andy Reid. I know I've talked about it. Really happy that he gets the Super Bowl win. Look at the excitement. He was so full of joy right after the game, as you would expect. And this is a guy now, all-time coaching wins, including playoffs. He's at 2-2-2, and he won the Super Bowl on February the 2nd, right? On February the 2nd, 2020. So that works out pretty well.
And every guy on that list has multiple Super Bowls.
Right.
Think about that.
I'm so happy for him. It took him 20 years to get a Super Bowl as a head coach. I know he was involved in 2 other ones, but that's just a great lesson, I think, for everybody. Everybody wants that instant gratification, and he grinded it out for 20 years. And he said, if I had this team for the next 20 years with the toughness and the competitors that I have on this team, he's like, I'd coach another 20 years.
Well, he could, because this might be a dynasty.
You ain't lying.
Got a lot of assistants who have moved on to be head coaches. I don't know that there's a more popular guy in the NFL.
Well, everybody's rooting for him.
Everybody's rooting for him.
Yeah, everybody's rooting for him. I mean, he's that story.
Players love him.
And you have to go back also to the personal issues that he had all those years ago with his sons. They end up losing the one son, but the other son that got in trouble Reid ends up getting onto the cleaning it up, getting onto the coaching staff, and was part of this, which makes that even more of a special
awesome.
story, because where they were 13 years ago was in court being scolded by a judge about, parenting.
Right.
And so you go from there to
amazing.
getting your act together, but still having to battle through all those years of wondering, will I ever win? But he had to get the family side of things together.
No doubt.
He did that too, which is why, again, this became that story that it became this year.
And also, he's a popular guy when you have Eagles fans happy that he won.
They all.
Eagles fans don't like anybody
They're the
that's not
hardest
with him
fans in the
anymore.
world.
But they like Andy Reid.